Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at remove element, which is LeetCode problem number 27. So if we look at the problem, it's basically saying that given an integer array nums and an integer val, remove all occurrences of val in nums. And it's making us do this inside the nums array. So you can't build a new array to store these numbers. Basically, you have to use the existing. And LeetCode is also capping it out at O of 1 for the extra memory. So we've got to do that. We've got to take that into consideration. So now let's go down to this custom judge section that they're talking about. So when they're testing our output, they have the int value nums, int array nums, and the int value. But they also have this expected nums. And it's the expected answer with the correct length. So we can't just have a counter that counts how many numbers are left after you remove the number in val. We actually have to rebuild the nums array. And that's what this piece is doing. It's assigning our output to the expected nums length. It sorts it, and then it goes through and makes sure all the numbers are in the right order. So let's look at some examples. Here we have an input nums of 3, 2, 2, 3, and the value is 3. So we're going to remove the 3's, keeping these numbers in place. And so what it's doing here is it's just looking at the first two numbers, 2 and 2, and they're using an underscore to signify that those numbers don't matter. Example 2 is very similar. We're going to remove the 2, so you take 1, 2, 3 number 2's out. The output is 5, and see, this is just the same order without the number 2's. So the output, they're looking for both the 5 and the value of nums here. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's figure it out. For the pseudocode, we're going to define an integer variable called I, which is a counter. We'll initialize that to 0. Then we're going to loop through each value in nums, and we're going to assign that value j. It has to be different than the counter. We're going to compare each number j, each element, to the input value. If the numbers are not the same, then we're going to set number I, our counter, to the value in number j. Then we're going to increment the counter, and the statement, and the loop, and return I. And that is pretty much it. So let's code this. Define int I equals 0. Now we're going to go loop through the length of nums. So if nums j is not equal to the value, meaning it's a valid entry, then we're going to add that to nums I. So nums 0, if the first number is not the value, it will add nums 0 will equal nums 0 of the j, so that'll include that number. And then we're just going to increment I and end the loop. Or end the if statement. This ends the loop. Then we're going to return I and end the method. So that's pretty much it. Let's debug this and see what we get. So I used 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, and 5. So we're going to remove the 3's out of this. So if we start debugging this, okay, nums j, number 1, the first value it looks at as 1 is not equal to the value 3, which is the value we don't want in there. So we're going to add this and increment the counter. We'll just keep going. Now I've got 2. We'll take that. And I've got nums I, nums j, and the value of I down here as watches. Even I know they're over here too, but this cleans it up a little bit so you just see what we want to see. Alright, so there's a ton of 3's here, so it's going to bypass all those. Must have gotten to 4. Yep, we got the 4 there. And that should be it. Yes, okay. So we have 5 numbers left. And if you look at the nums, it now has, so the initial one was 1, 1, and we need to remove this 2. I'm sorry, we need to remove these 3 3's. So that's exactly what this is. It's 1, 1, 2 with the 3's removed, and then 4, 5. Now, because my result is 5, it's only looking at the first 5 numbers, and these, according to LeetCode, would be underscores or whatnot. Okay, so let's run this in LeetCode. Accepted. And see, our input, the output, it's looking at the number 3 as well as the array nums, the nums array. And now we'll submit it here. Look at that. We're the fastest submission. And the memory is okay, uses less than 52% of the submissions. We'll take it. Alright, let's finish out here with execution time. So this is O of n. We have to iterate through all the characters in n. We have to loop through them, and so as the value of the input parameter grows, the execution time grows in a linear fashion. And finally, the space complexity, this was set by LeetCode. We had to do it this way. So despite the size of n, because we're putting the results back into n, into the letter n, it doesn't matter. It uses the same amount of memory. And that is it. As always, thanks for watching. Good luck on your interviews, and we'll see you next time.